Today on the audio hotline, I'm going to be reviewing a microphone that I am very excited about. When I saw this get announced and get released and everything, I couldn't resist it. I bought it. I bought it immediately. With that being said, I know I do get sent microphones from companies sometimes, but no, not this time. I paid for this microphone. But right now I do have the Shure SM7b in front of me, and the microphone that we're going to be reviewing today is the new Shure MV7. It's a USB XLR microphone that kind of looks a little similar to the SM7b. You know, I'm not really sure how similar these microphones are going to be, because a part of me does feel like it might be Shure just trying to use the classic look of the SM7b to make some money on a different microphone that's, meant for podcasting. But we will compare the Shure SM7b to the MV7 today. But before I grab the MV7 and we get started, there's one order of business we need to take care of. Let's get mic'd. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to open this up. I actually overnighted it so I could potentially get this review out, toward the beginning of when people review this. I'm sure there are some people that have beat me. But let me go ahead and tell you what comes in the box with the Shure MV7. The Shure MV7 comes with every piece of documentation you could ever want. It comes with two cables. One of them is a USB-A to micro USB. The other is a USB-C to a micro USB. The microphone has a mounting bracket, much like the Shure SM7b. It also does come with a foam windscreen. And you, of course, get the Shure MV7. Well, yeah, here it is. Before I go any further, just so you know, this video is probably going to be long, and there are going to be some timestamps down below if you want to navigate through it. Everything that does come with this microphone feels great. And for the $250 price tag, it is definitely on par with that price point. It might even be a little nicer built. But that is like Shure's thing. They build very sturdy microphones that will just last. The USB cables that come with this are actually a nice length. A lot of USB microphones come with pretty small USB cables, and it's never made sense to me. I can understand the audio degrading with a really long cable, but the length of these cables being 10 feet just makes sense to me. But the mounting bracket is really nice. The foam windscreen is pretty thick. It seems to, help. But overall, the accessories are very nice, and the fact that it comes with some free software is very awesome. But we'll test the software out here in a little bit. But now that we've talked about what comes with the microphone, now let's go ahead and talk about what comes on the microphone. Let's go ahead and talk about some features. The Shure MV7 features an XLR and micro USB connection. You can find both of these ports on the back of the microphone, right next to a headphone jack. This microphone does offer latency-free monitoring, and it will also allow you to toggle back and forth in between the microphone gain and the headphone volume. When the lights are green, you are affecting the microphone's gain, and when the lights are yellow, you are affecting your headphone volume. And the way you can turn up or down your headphones or your microphone gain, you simply touch and slide your finger to the right to turn your volume or gain up, and do the same thing to the left to turn it down. On the other side, there is in fact a mute function on this microphone. Now, the features that come with this microphone, honestly, awesome. There aren't a ton of XLR USB microphones out there, and a lot of the ones that there are much cheaper than this. But this one took a lot of the great features of those microphones and just improved upon it and just added. So there's a lot of really cool options, and one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm actually recording into my Zoom F6 right now, and simultaneously I am recording to my MacBook Pro with the USB capabilities at 29% gain. And I'm recording into Logic Pro X. In summary, it does have a lot of really cool features, and I'm really excited to test them out here soon. But now that we've talked about what comes with the microphone and what comes on the microphone, now let's go ahead and talk about what comes in the microphone. Let's go ahead and talk about some specs. The Shure MV7 is a mono, dynamic, XLR, and USB microphone. This features a unidirectional, also known as cardioid polar pattern. This has a frequency response of 50 Hz to 16 kHz, a max SPL of 132 decibels, an impedance of 114 ohms. This has a sensitivity of -55 dBV, and a maximum bit depth and sample rate of 24-bit and 48 kHz. But now that we've gone through the basics and the specs, now let's go ahead and start testing this microphone out. I'll go through all my usual tests with this just being in flat mode with no effects on it. Then we'll jump into the software and see how that sounds. If you want to get really close to the microphone that looks like the Rode M3 made sweet, sweet love into the Shure SM7b, here's how it's going to sound. Now, if you want to get really close to the MV7 with the foam windscreen on when it looks like a little baby Shure SM7b, here's how it's going to sound. Let's do some plosives. Peter Piper picked a patch of pickled peanutses. 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 Now, if you're a gamer or a podcaster or someone who just likes talking into microphones while they click on a clicky-clacky keyboard, here's how it's going to sound with some MX Cherry Blues behind it. Now let's go ahead and take this polar pattern test one step further with some white noise. Now as I spin this microphone around, here is how the off-axis coloration sounds. And if you're going to be in a room with another douchebag making podcasts... Yeah, here's how it sounds rejecting that douchebag's voice over there. That guy's such a tool. Now, if you're thinking about getting this microphone and you have a podcast and a YouTube channel and you're like, hey, I want to get up close to the microphone while I'm talking on my podcast, but then I want to get far away from it. Keep it out of the camera shot, even though this isn't out of the camera shot. Here's how it would sound about 3 feet away. So here's the sound of the MV7 with no windscreen on. And now here is the tone of the microphone with a windscreen on. So now I'm just shaking the microphone a little bit, seeing how much it deals with the shock of that, you know? Just seeing how much it rejects it. Wow, I'm shaking this whole table. This is bad. Now let's check and see if there is a quality difference between the USB and XLR capabilities. I've been switching back and forth and labeling it throughout this video, but we'll just do it back to back just so you can hear it. Right now, here's the sound of the XLR cable going into the Zoom F6. Once again, this is set at plus 34 decibels, and now we are using the USB connection, and this is set at 29% in my Mac. One more time, here is the XLR connection, and now it is the USB connection. I've noticed with other USB and XLR microphones, I feel like the XLR connection is usually a little bit better, but who knows? It might be different in this one. I don't know. Now let's go ahead and test this microphone out against the $400 Shure SM7b. Here's the sound of the Shure MV7 at about plus 34 decibels on the Zoom F6. And here's how the microphone sounds. Right now I have the Shure SM7b plugged into the Zoom F6. I will include any details about how I'm recording it down here. I'm recording all of these microphones at 24-bit at 48 kilohertz, and I'm recording the SM7b at plus 40 decibels. Once again, here is the MV7, the cardioid dynamic microphone that is capable of both XLR and USB. The Shure SM7b is only an XLR microphone. It is $400. It does have a couple settings on the back, but I am just rocking the neutral settings, you know? I don't know why I said rocking something. I don't like it. I don't like that. And one final time, here is the audio from the Shure MV7. And one last time, here is the sound of the Shure SM7b. I do in fact have the foam windscreen on the microphone, and here's how it sounds. Now I'm going to go ahead and take you through this software, and you can see what kind of results you can get with it. We'll just start right up at the top, and let's just see if this mute button works real quick on the software. Let's see if it works right now. Okay, and that's how that sounds. And let's try it on the actual microphone itself. Here's the mute. When I'm plugged into the XLR jack right now, I can still hear myself. I'm monitoring myself through the Zoom F6, and I am, in fact, not muted right now. That honestly does make sense that it wouldn't mute the XLR connection, but just heads up. So here's the microphone gain. Here's how it affects that. Is it working well? Is it working good? So right here is the monitor mix. And right now I have it turned just to the microphone, just so I can hear the sound of the microphone. No playback, but you can actually mix it in, which is really nice. But I will say that that playback is usually going to have a little bit of lag compared to the latency-free monitoring in the headphone jack. so it might sound a little weird. Still really nice to choose whether you want a mixture of the two. So right now, we're in flat mode. Let's go ahead and do that high pass filter. And there it is. There is the difference right there. If I get really close, there's the sound of it. And now let's go ahead and engage that high pass filter. Did you hear any difference at all? So now we're back in flat mode. Now let's go ahead and do the presence boost. Here is the presence boost now. It should be engaged, and here is how that sounds. Now we'll go back to flat mode. Here's how that sounds. Now let's go ahead and do a mixture of the two. Let's do the high pass filter and presence boost. Boom, there it is. There it is. And I will say this is what, a lot of podcasters do is they will do that high pass filter and they'll, bump the treble a little bit. But here is the sound of the limiter. Let's go ahead and engage that limiter. So right now I do have the high pass filter and presence boost still engaged. I do have the limiter on. Now let's go ahead and mess with some compression. Here's the sound of the compressor off. Now let's go ahead and turn it to light. And here is how the light compression sounds. Now let's bump it up to medium. Here's how the medium compression sounds. And now let's go heavy with it. Let's get some heaviness. Wow, that is some heavy compression. There you go. Let's go ahead and turn that limiter off. I don't feel like that limiter is doing a whole heck of a lot, but, whatever. But that's the cool thing about this software. I can set my gain to wherever I want it to be the next time I record a podcast. I can set how I want to listen to that podcast. If I want any EQ changes. I didn't notice this at first, but there is like a lock button so you don't accidentally change your settings, which is pretty cool. But it is pretty cool. You can save your own preset. Be ready to go the next time you want to record. Now I'm going to take a real quick break, go edit some of this video, listen back to this microphone, really get used to its characteristics and how it sounds and everything. Then I will come back and give you my review of the MV7. With that being said, I'll be right back. Let's do this thing. If you've watched this whole video, do you remember earlier when I said I was going to hurry and review this as fast as possible and just try to get it out super fast? Well, shit happened. You know that thing that's like going around right now? No, not gonorrhea. The other thing. The like pandemic thing. Well, I've experienced that firsthand now. So that's why my voice sounds a little messed up right now, and why pretty much every reviewer in the universe has beat me to reviewing this microphone. Fantastic. Oh well, I'm not like bitter about it or anything, Life is great. Life is so good right now. Let me try to make it through this review section. I'll just basically have to burn this microphone afterward. So, cool. But let me go ahead and get to my review and my opinion of the Shure MV7. So when it comes to this microphone, there are some things that I absolutely love about it. But then there are some other things that just kind of bug me. But let's go ahead and start with a few positives, even though I usually just ramble and mix them up a little bit, but I'll try. The capabilities and features of this microphone are just so sick. And not like sick like me, but like actually good sick. But like having the XLR and USB ports are just awesome. Being able to monitor yourself, amazing. Having controls on the microphone, really great. And just overall, its recording capabilities they're good. And another nice thing is that everything that comes with this microphone and the microphone itself all built really well. And it comes with everything that you really need. It also does come with a stand adapter. I can't remember if I mentioned that earlier. I don't think I did. And another thing that always kind of seems dumb to mention, but it does matter. But aesthetically, this microphone looks awesome. It's a good looking mic and it looks like its little friend over there. You can't see it. Oh, my voice is not good. But that guy over there, the SM7b, it looks like that kind of. It's cool. It's a good look. Even though the software isn't like super in-depth, super extensive or anything like that, it's still nice that it has some capabilities. And honestly, the capabilities that it has, a lot of like beginner podcasters, that's all they probably want. But let's go ahead and talk about some negatives now. First negative I will say is that the headphone output is super quiet. When it came to pushing my Sennheiser HD650s, it was rough. I mean, the Sony ones that I used to record with, the MDR7506s, they were better. They definitely don't require to be pushed as much as the HD650s. But if you're going to use like regular headphones
or like Shure in-ear monitors to record your podcast, you'd probably be fine. The next complaint that I have is actually a pretty big one. The touch panel and like the buttons on here are just kind of like touch buttons. They're not super responsive. Like it can take me multiple tries to actually get the microphone to mute. And that's the thing that does suck though. If you need to use that mute button and it's crucial, good luck. Unless you use it on the software, then you'll be fine. And when it comes to like turning up the volume or the gain, I'm like sitting there like, okay, it went up one. Just not nearly responsive enough. But most importantly, and the biggest negative to me, is the sound. The SM7b compared to this just sounds so clear and so clean. But honestly, for the $250 price tag, I'm just not in love with the sound. Could people be happy with this microphone? Absolutely. I'm definitely not saying this microphone is trash. I just feel like there are some downsides to this microphone when it comes to its price tag. With that being said, the grade that I give the Shure MV7 is 78%. In summary, this microphone has a lot of cool capabilities and cool features, but the sound does not live up to the cost. Thank you everyone for watching this review of the Shure MV7. I hope it helped you out, helped you decide whether you want to get one of these or not, but most of all, hope you had fun. I hope you had fun. Gosh, I hope you had fun. Can't even do it, man. It's rough. A big thank you to everyone that subscribes to this channel. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And once again, thank you for watching the Audio Hotline. I'll see you audio nerds next time. All right, now I'm going to go to bed. I'm exhausted.